This video is supported by Cognitive Insights, providing secure online transactions for your clients. What's up guys, it's Daily Codes, and today we are going to be coding using Python. So I signed up for Code Wars. Code Wars is a platform which gives you challenges as you continue learning in Python, and I signed up for their weekly challenge, and every week they send me challenges and try to keep me on form as I practice. And I thought maybe it would be nice for me to share it with you, how I code my weekly challenges. So today they sent me these questions, and I'm going to select one. So this is for 8 KYU and this is for 6 KYU. Let me try this supermarket queue challenge. So I'm going to click on it on this internet. Okay, so this is the challenge. I'm not going to log in now. I'm just going to try to train. Okay, so this is the question. I don't know if the question is clear, but I can try to zoom. Oh, that's too much. Okay, so the question is saying that there is a queue for a self-checkout till at the supermarket. Your task is to write a function to calculate the total time required for all the customers to check out. So the input, we have customers, an array of positive integers representing a queue, each integer representing a customer, and its value is the amount of time required to check out. Then another input, n, a positive integer, the number of checkout tills. So that means that we have one queue and we have many tills the customers can use to check out. The output, the function should return an integer, the total time required. So let us look at some examples here. So here we have the function queue time, and then and then it has this 534 as the queue, where 5 is the time it will take the first client or the first customer to use a till, like that, and this should return 12. That is 5 plus 3 plus 4, 12. Yeah, that's good. Then we have another queue. This one has 2 tills. The clients the first client will take 10 minutes or 10 seconds, I don't know, 10 time, 2 and 3 and 3. So the total time will be so since there are 2, that means that the first client will be on the first till, the second client will be on the second till, but the first client will take 10 minutes or 10 time, let's take it in minutes. So the first client will take 10, then the second client will be in the second till but will take 2. So that means when the first till is still occupied but remaining with 8 minutes, the third client will be occupying the second till. So the total time will be 10. Yeah, it is here 10. And then here we have 2, 3 and 10. So the first client goes to the first till, then the second client goes to the second till, 3, 2. So the first client will finish before the second client, then 10 will come here, 3 will finish. So this will be 12. So we need to write a function that will return the total time. Okay, so it depends on which IDE you use. For Python programming, I prefer using Jupyter Notebook. So we'll try to Jupyter Lab. Okay, so let us see. We need to have tills. So let us define a class, because we are going to have tills as objects, and these objects will be having their own properties. Let's jump into it and we see what will happen as we go on. So I'm going to have a class and I'm going to call it a tail. Then let me put a constructor for this class. So this is just an initialization function to initialize the variables for the class. So I need to have here we have the client enters a queue if the queue is empty. So that means that the time remaining inside the queue should be empty, should be 0. So we can initialize all time remaining inside the queue to be 0, so that when the time remaining for a till is 0, then a client can go to that till to use that till up to when the time remaining for that till is 0, like that. So as time goes on, the time that they spend keeps on reducing. For example, this person who uses 5, let's say 5 minutes, after 1 minute they will have a time remaining as 4, after 2 minutes, like that. So let's have something called time remaining here. So I'm going to have self dot time remaining, and I'm going to just initialize it to 0. Then we shall see what else to put in this class as time goes on. Okay, so I'm going to define a function, and now this is the function that the question is requiring. Queue time. So I'm going to define queue time, and queue time is taking two arguments or two. So the first argument is the queue, and then the second argument is the till, which is the n, which is the till number. So till. Then we need to like initialize or instantiate all the tails. So let's have a loop that is going to instantiate all the tails. So tails will be equal to, we are going to have it in a list. So we have a list of all tails, and all these tails are having the remaining time. So we're going to have tail let me use single L so that I don't get confused. I'm going to be subtracting the minimum time that let's say you have all the tails occupied, then you look at the tail that has the minimum time for a client, then subtract it for all the tails so that I can have a tail that has 0 and that client goes, then the other tails will be having a remaining time. So this is what I'm going to be doing for a client in queue. For a client in queue, and for I in range. So for each client, then for each till, for a range till, if that till, so we're going to say we pick that till because we have a list of till. If that till I at time time remaining is 0, if their remaining time is 0, then that tail's remaining time will be C, because now this client is coming to that tail. So we're going to have tail, that tail I dot time remaining will be C. Okay, so this is, then we break out of that loop, then we check another client. So let us break out of this loop. So here we have fine. Then what should we do? For each of these, let's take for each tail in this object, let's have a list that will contain each client time, so that we can see all the clients, the times of clients who have used that tail. Right. Time equal to, so it is just a list. Then here I'm going to be appending that client time. So I'm going to say times I dot client time dot append that client. So we will see all the clients who utilize that tail. But now we have the remaining time. If that tail is having the remaining time 0, we are going to be assigning a client to that tail. That means that tail will be empty. So we have multiple tails. If a particular tail is empty, that means that its remaining time is 0. So how do we make the remaining time of a tail 0? Let's say, for example, if all of them are occupied. So that means that we have to find a tail that has the minimum time required to occupied by a particular client. Then we have to subtract from all. So this is going to be, I'm going to do what, for that I'm going to, let me call it a negative time as the minimum time. So it's going to be minimum of let me say j dot time remaining for j in tail. So this will give me the minimum of all clients, the minimum time for all clients who are occupying the tails. Then I'm going to have now the offset time as the offset time. So this is the minimum. So I want to get an offset time, or the time remaining. Yeah, I should have something like a time remaining. So I'm going to have, for all the tails, the time remaining should be reduced by this negative time. So for t in tails, tails, I thought it was capital T. For t in tails, I'm going to have t dot time remaining, minus equal to negative time, the negative time. So So all of them will be updated with the time. And then yep, so when they are all updated, when they are all updated, so it will reach a moment when 1 is 0. In fact, the one that has a minimum will be the one with 0, and then another client will occupy that till question is telling us to the function should return an integer, which will be the total time. So the total time for our function here will be the sum of all the minimum times plus the maximum time at the end of the loop for the queue. So we'll have the minimum times to some moment, then the maximum time remaining. I hope we can get this. So let me try to, I'm going to put offset time should be a list. So this will be a list of all negative times. So we're going to have offset time negative time. So for each we have a negative time, and yeah, so that is good. So that is good. Then after working for all the items in the queue, all the clients in the queue, we need to append in the offset time the maximum time in for all the clients who are remaining in the queue. So we're going to have offset time dot append this. Let me just copy this. Append this. I don't know if this code is clear for all of you. I know it might be a problem for those people who are using mobile devices, so let me try to make this big. That is too big. Yeah, I think this is reasonable. I put the link in the description for the Bitbucket account where I'm going to put this code. So if you like to get the raw code, you will just click on the link and follow it from the Bitbucket and fork it or download it. Do anything you want with it. Okay, so here we're going to have, this should be a maximum, so we will pick a maximum for the last after all the queues. So we have the minimums and the maximum. Then we are supposed to return the time, so we're going to return the sum of all this offset time. Okay, so let us test and see whether it is going to work. No, paste. Error. Offset time is not defined. Offset time is not defined. It's supposed to be having double F. Okay, what is this error? Offset time is not defined. Let's start with this offset is here. Double F. Okay, 12 photos. The answer here 12. That's cool. Then this copying skills. If you have some copying skills, clap your hand. If you have some copying skills, clap your hand. Paste not available. This is giving us 10. That's 10. So let's check with this. Then this is giving us 12. Okay, so when we look at the question once again, it was saying that there is a queue for self-checkout tills in the supermarket. Your task is to write a function to calculate the total time required for all the customers to check out. So the inputs are customers, which is just an array, and then n is the number of tills, and the output should be the total time they require to check out. What we have done here, we have defined a class till so that we will have each till as an object. Then we have the function here which will be calculating the total time it will be taking for the whole queue to use the tills that are available. So here we have this line here is just instantiating the tills, the objects that we have created here. Then the offset time is a list of the minimum times for each loop through the queue. So if all the tills are having 0, that means that the minimum time is 0. That means that there will be no time required for someone to wait. And then C here is a queue, so we are looping through all the queue. And then for all the tills, each till we are updating the time. If for that till is the time is 0, then we look for the minimum, and then that will be the negative time. We put it here. Then we update the time for all, that is the waiting time for the other people. You can take it as a waiting time because the minimum is the waiting time for the next person to use any of the tills that are occupied. Because if the minimum is 1, that means that person will use time 1 to wait for all of them, and that will mean that the till with the minimum time will run to 0 first, and then the person will go there, and it will be the C, and it will be the C that will be appended to the time. So that is how I've solved this. Let me wait for another question next week, and I see how I'm going to be solving, and as I solve it, I will share with you the process of which I'm solving it. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, and if there is something you think I can improve on, last time somebody said that I should increase the font and the size of this. Yeah, for that I'm just going to share with you the link to this code. I'm going to put it in my Bitbucket, and you can visit it and download it and try to work on something. If you have a better way of doing this, please share with me in the comments down below. I'll be reading all your comments. Without further stuff, peace.